Asda has replaced its That's Asda price tagline. They are aiming to put across to the customers that they mean more than monetary value. This is interesting because That's Asda price tagline was just brought about a year ago along with a £100 million investment in looking into their prices overall. Now they have a new slogan, get the Asda price feeling. So why are they making this change? They want to focus on their brand experience. As you can see, we have a special guest today on our video, Ian Scott from Ian Scott Consulting. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, and thanks for inviting me in for the chat about Asda today.
Cheers. Interim Chief Customer Officer Priyash Takrar has recently said that even though Asda is known for its value, they want to focus on other things as well. This mainly includes their services and products. You might think that Asda has been struggling and that's why they are making this change. Actually, things have been exactly the opposite. Asda has seen a 17% increase in their market share in the running to this change. Now they have more than a 14% share of the market, just behind Tesco and Sainsbury's.
Are they just changing the slogan?
Well, of course not, or we will not be doing this video. Overall, there are at least 4 major changes currently going at Asda. First, they are creating more Asda on the move stores. The idea is that if you are a motorist, when you are filling your car, whatever, you can go and have a nice fresh meal. There are also plans for 300 Asda convenience stores. Second, they are introducing third-party brands in their clothing line. There are reports that they will bring in The Style, Wrangler, and Brave Soul online and in store. Third, they have announced a partnership with a brand called Misguided. This is more towards the younger generation, and I had not heard of them before, but now I see them everywhere. It's actually kind of edgy. Initially, these clothes will be put at least 100 Asda stores. And fourth, their Chief Customer Officer, Anna Marie Shaw, has left the company. She was there just for a year, and she was responsible for the slogan change actually. Now they have a new Chief Customer Officer, Megan Farren. She was at KFC UK and she was responsible for turning around KFC in the last decade or so. And nothing to worry for Priyash Takrar, who I mentioned earlier. He is going back to his role of Chief Strategy Officer. So they are going hard at this aim of improving their brand experience, and there is quite a bit more to brand experience, and that's why we have Ian Scott here in the video.
So Asda's going through a massive change at the moment, and we're seeing the influence of the Issa brothers who bought the company recently and how they're starting to take some of the experiences from their EG Petrol Forecourt group and introducing it into Asda as well. The EG group has over 4,500 forecourts across Europe and bits of North America as well. And they've introduced a model of concessions within those stores. We've seen companies like Subway and Costa Coffee taking up space within these petrol stations. And this is a model that they're looking to introduce to Asda as well now. So as Taz mentioned, Asda are starting to introduce a number of brands and giving them space in their stores, much like the EG Petrol forecourts. And we're also seeing some other interesting new developments, such as the Raw Beauty Salon Beauty and Nail Bar, which has just been introduced to the stores in Derby and Wigan. The Issa brothers, as well as buying Asda, have also been buying other companies, and it's almost part of a vertical acquisition strategy. We've seen them buy Leon, who are a restaurant company, and Couplans are one of the biggest bakeries in the north of the country as well. They've also made overtures to Cafe Nero on a number of occasions, so far unsuccessful. But what we're seeing here is them buying companies that may well be in the supply chain for both Asda and their forecourt business. And as Taz mentioned, the on-the-move petrol forecourts and convenience stores are showing a merging of those two activities as well. As well as the convenience store development, we're seeing Asda opening a number of different store formats as they're testing and trialling new initiatives. One of these is the sustainability store that opened in Middleton a year ago, just south of Leeds. Within the store, we're seeing a number of sustainable initiatives. A company called Pre-Loved Kilo has introduced a vintage recycled clothing range. And then also they have introduced a number of refill station models where we're having destinations at the back of the store where customers can come in and buy raw materials without packaging. What's great to see about this sustainable initiative is that it is being developed for long-term rollout. A number of retailers across different sectors are doing temporary one-off stores which almost smack of greenwashing, and what we're seeing in these ventures are not continuing. But we're already seeing that the refill station idea that originally started in Middleton has now just been introduced in the York store in an even larger format. And we're seeing Asda are learning from the process, getting feedback from customers and the brands involved, and starting to introduce and refine these as long-term solutions across their estate. So what we see is a company that is starting to work hard at evolving their supermarket offer. We're seeing a range of different products across different categories, as well as the fashion lines that Taz mentioned. We're also seeing companies like Decathlon giving a large amount of space in store. And the benefit here is that people will be familiar with these brands, and it could draw them in as new customers to Asda, as well as giving existing customers the opportunity to be surprised and delighted by solutions that they weren't expecting in the store. The Raw Beauty concession, for example, is designed to try and increase a bit of dwell time so people spend more time in the store and get exposed to more offers as well. Another concept that Asda has been developing for quite a while is their Store of the Future strategy. And what they do is they take a couple of stores and they will trial new ideas. And they've just opened a couple that I mentioned before, Derby and Wigan, where they're trialing a number of different concepts. And the idea here is that they can constantly introduce innovations and trends that they're seeing out in the marketplace to test them and learn from them. And then a lot of these elements are then rolled out across the retail estate. The result is you have a store format that is constantly evolving and improving, responding to the new ideas, but also responding to customer feedback as well. So what does this mean for the Asda brand experience? Grocery shopping is a necessary evil for most people. It's not the sort of destination shopping that we aspire to when we're indulging in personal purchases. We have to eat. So the challenge here is how they can create an experience that is more memorable and enjoyable. The grocery market is very competitive. We've seen companies like Amazon and a lot of other online offers coming in, and particularly during the pandemic where people have shifted to home deliveries and click and collect. So the store needs to work much harder now. And what we're seeing is that Asda is starting to invest in a number of different ideas and opportunities to grow the experience in store, make it more memorable, and give people a reason to return on a regular basis.
So we've been talking about brand experience. Let's bring in some marketing lingo. So here's an equation that we've coined. Brand experience equals business strategy plus user experience plus market psychology. So we can say that brand experience is a combination of these. And of course, there's many more facets within that. We must understand that there is an emotional experience as well as something that's tangible. It comes down to how your customers experience your brand and the perception of it from a market level. In today's age, there is a new layer, and that's the digital marketing. It's sometimes said that it's important for a brand to be able to divide its market base, which means you're not sitting on the fence. And it also means that you will have people that don't like your brand, as well as those people that do love. And so for this reason, it's really important to understand and know who your tribe is so you can enhance their experience. As a very quick example, when Waitrose sets up their retail space in an area, it is said that house prices go up. This means it will be frustrating for those that are looking to get onto the property ladder. And for this reason, they may go over and shop at Aldi or Lidl. Whereas those that are already on the property ladder, they may stroll in Waitrose enjoying their free cup of coffee.
That's one expensive coffee you should.
Overall, it's clear to see that there is a price range when you go to the supermarket, but this also applies to other industries, and the reason for it is because of brand experience. So it means that consumers are not just buying the product or the price of the product, it's actually what comes before and after. Now let's have a look at a brand that has a very clear brand experience, and that's of course Apple. We know that they have a solid loyalty base. It's because when they are releasing a new mobile phone, they will have a massive line outside their retail space from 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's well before they've opened. How many other brands are able to achieve this? When I speak to my friends and family and I ask why is it that they buy the Apple products, because I'm Android, a lot of the times it's because they get a sense or a feeling that Apple is about innovation and it makes them feel that they are ahead of the curve. The reality is a different story. It boils down to how is it that their customers feel. So when we talk about market experience, we can consider this to be what is the perception from peers when you buy a product? Or there's something that's more tangible, which is how does it make you feel when you slip off the packaging from the box? These are just 2 or 3 cogs that we've covered. The reality is there are a lot more to cover that we haven't in this video. To give a real life experience, just last week I was in the Oxford Circus area and I went past the Apple retail store and I noticed that it was thriving. There was just people buzzing. You can hear the noise just coming out from the street level. Of course, I went in to see what's going on. I took a few pictures. And then 30 seconds later, I went past the Microsoft store. And actually, they had, I would say, in my opinion, better technology because they had a sports car. It was a McLaren. It was customized with the Xbox inbuilt. And it was fancy. You can sit in and you could experience the game with the car moving around. But interesting enough, the shop was not buzzing. There was maybe 5 or 6 people. Ian, I know you've been in the store. I mean, what are your thoughts and experience of this?
Well, I think what's interesting here is, first of all, the Microsoft store was design-led and influenced by Apple, like most technology companies do. They sort of copy Apple too much. And while the car is a very high-end piece of technology, it's almost a gimmick to draw attention to the product. What Apple do is they just showcase the product. So there is an authenticity to what Apple do, which means they don't have to shout as loudly and use things like cars and windows to drive the footfall. You know, the Microsoft store, beyond that car, it's quite a subdued space. You don't get that sense of occasion as much. And sadly now, since the pandemic, they've closed the Xbox room, which was by far the biggest draw of the store, where you could immerse yourself in a dark room and just play with Xbox stuff. I made the mistake of taking my kids in there and it took them an hour to get them out to peel their fingers off the door frame. And that was a wonderful example. Now, during the pandemic, the Xbox room can't really be operated. So it's a shame they've closed that down. And in fact, Microsoft have shut most of their stores worldwide. But what you see with Apple is there is a cool, understated authenticity and confidence. The product itself is tactile. They're beautifully made and you want to hold the product. Microsoft lacks that image. The perception of the Microsoft products is not the same as that desirability. And that's where Apple have done so well. So their stores are beautiful, subdued places where the product stands out, whereas Microsoft are having to use things like McLaren cars to drive footfall.
Yeah, and I agree. For me personally, I don't think brand experience is just by having a superior product. It's actually what is the perception of your customers, what is the market psychology.
So how can you achieve this great brand experience? Sadly, some of these topics, they are so abstracted that small businesses think that they cannot do it. Brand experience should not be one of those things. It is applicable to every business. So what can you do? Make your products and services more accessible. That can be in-store, that can be online, that can be your website. Anything which is accessible, anything that the customers can connect with will create an experience that they can remember. Same goes with other things like customer experience. Some businesses will stand out just on the basis of this customer experience, but what they do afterwards is they actually market this point because it is important for the people. And just to clarify, if you keep things simple, we have the example of Apple that we were just talking about. If you keep things simple, they're easier to manage and they're easier to connect with. You don't have to go over the top. You don't have to spend too much money on it. It's just about how you make people feel when they buy from you, when they interact with you. Good luck with developing your brand experience.
Hi, I'm Harmeet Singh, and Ian, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'm Taseer, Ahmad. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, please do connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.